Guten Tag, welcome to another episode of Fans with Hans. Ja, willkommen. Today we are going to talk about. I'm just kidding. I can't do the entire episode like that. my German is not that good. But welcome back, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to episode 12 of Fans with Hans. I hope you're having a good day. Today is Wednesday. I'm actually recording this on Wednesday morning. It's about 10 to 11 right now. Took me a bit of time to sort out the material for today's Fans with Hans, which is going to be different than I've did it before. Usually, or in 95% cases, I would show you one or two replays of the game, and I would just talk in the background. But today, I got a different treat for you. You're not going to be watching any games, because, well, I only played yesterday. Well, it was like 7-hour stream, so we do have new material, but that's gonna go directly on the YouTube as it is. But I have a whole bunch of pictures that I want to show you from the trip that I had to Berlin. And I mean, I have a lot more pictures that I'm actually going to be showing you, because that's not what I want to be focusing on about. And I think the way I'm gonna do this is I'm just gonna show you picture by picture and talk about each one of them a bit. How long is this episode going to last? I have no clue how slow or fast we're going to be going through these pictures and all this stuff. I honestly don't know, but I don't suspect it's going to be short. I tried to just talk briefly yesterday on the stream, and it took me like half an hour. So kick back, relax, get your choco, cocoa, whatever you're having, and I will be showing you some of these pictures. Not gonna show you all, there's just way too many of them. Besides, for some reason, my phone didn't transfer the videos, so it's just pictures. Although there's nothing special or spectacular on these videos, but some of them might be interesting. And I haven't transferred yet Mrs. Citadel's photos from her phone. So, without any further ado, we're gonna do this pretty simple. We're gonna jump to the main screen, and we're gonna be sliding pictures one by one. You can actually see my mouse. Okay, so you may know, if you've been paying attention and watching the previous episodes of Fans with Hans, that we had terrible parquet problem, which you can see here. It's really in a shitty condition, and there's been some works here, and it looks terrible. It's very damaged. I think you can see here, and this is not even the worst part. On some parts, it's really damaged. You can see like gaps in between. We had some sort of a bug problem. So we were like, okay, can this nightmare please end? And since I haven't been streaming for a week because of the moving, and then my internet provider and we all just potatoed, so that didn't happen. And then eventually, when I did manage to finally stream, it was 720p 30 FPS over my mobile internet. We burned like 150, 160 gigs of mobile internet. But I just wanted to be able to stream. And then I was streaming for less than a week. And then we would have to leave for Berlin TwitchCon. And then I would not be able to stream for another week because I was there. And then when we come back, if we wanted to do this problem, that would require me not stream another week. So I was like, oh my god, this is just... no, this can't be. Can we just make it somehow that the works are done while we're actually in Berlin? And they did. They did an okay job. We still have some bugs, but we're trying to figure out where from, and if this is just remnants and escapees from where they used to be, which is what we're guessing was below parquet, or are they somewhere else? I don't know, but like 99% of the things in this apartment right now is new. There's just a couple of frames of the doors which are not, but we never see them there, so I don't know. I was informed that most households have these problems. It's just I haven't been seeing them before. Anyway, it is what it is. It's relatively good now, but night before we had to leave, and we left on last Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, last Wednesday is when we were going to Berlin in the afternoon. Night before, we were doing this. This is the living room, by the way, and this is where I am right now. Of course, I'm in this corner here that you can't see. It would be directly behind me. And in this corner on the right, there's like balcony. And then you have a hallway, which you will see on the next picture. This is this one. And then this is the kitchen, which has an entrance from this side and from the hallway. Then on the left side, there would be the exit doors. And all the way down would be on the right, the bathroom or the toilet, whatever you want to call it. I usually call it bathroom. And then all the way down is the sleeping quarters, you know. And we wanted both parquets fixed, the one in the living room and the one in the bedroom. So we had to isolate the kitchen from both sides, and we had to isolate the hallway. It's actually going to be... Wait, I can't do it like... Oh, I can't. Here we go. So when you go from here to like in this hallway here, you're now standing in the hallway. This is the entrance to the kitchen. The entrance to the whole apartment is on the left. Had to isolate that as well. And on the left, like this is on the right side of the wall, and on the left side of the wall, it's a bit more narrow than it is this hallway. This is where Mrs. Citadel's table is, and her PC and everything. We had to stock entire apartment from the living room, hallway, kitchen, and this... Well, this is the living room. So from living room, kitchen, hallway, and the bedroom, everything here and in the kitchen. And then completely seal it off. We were doing this till like 30 past midnight. It took us forever. And it was not really easy to hold these things and stick them to the floor, because we just didn't trust the workers to do it properly. And we wanted to isolate this and not have... Because they wanted to do the works on the parquets. There would be dust everywhere. And then they applied nitro and then the polish and everything. And it was like, wow, it's just weird. When you polish parquets, it's... The stench, it just goes everywhere. Anyway, this is still us night before we leave. And then we left on... this is Wednesday, so we left on Thursday. I actually put these... No, sorry, this is Tuesday. I'm talking out of my ass. This is Tuesday. We left on Wednesday. I actually put a couple of pictures in folders. So when we arrived on... Our flight was like 3:30. It lasted 2 hours. We were in hotel about 6, 7. And then when we finally... This thing would start. Here we go. When we finally arrived in Berlin, the very first thing we did after leaving bags at our hotel was like, we gotta go grab something to eat. And of course, I arrived in Germany. I was interested after being in Copenhagen theme park Tivoli. They had a... That was like months ago, if not even half a year or more ago. In the theme park Tivoli in Copenhagen, they had this German restaurant, and I've tried the bratwurst, and I was just, wow, I gotta try more of these sausages. So the very first thing that I did was currywurst with fries and salad, and of course 2 different beers. And Mrs. Citadel has, I forgot how they call this, but I think it's a knee or something from the pig. I'm really not sure. And some potatoes. She enjoyed this. I very much enjoyed this. And we had always the idea that we're going to take 2 different beers. And we'll try them both. And see how it is. And then whoever likes, you know, one will just take it. There's going to be some pictures of food, okay? So if you're hungry, I'm sorry. I'm hungry as well. I didn't even have my breakfast yet. After this, we were interested in getting some dessert. But unfortunately, Wednesday, it was like 10 p.m. A lot of things were already closing. And a lot of places were just proper restaurants. And we didn't feel like barging into a restaurant and taking the entire table just to sit down and try to have something like pancake or something. So Eventually, we found a place which was a restaurant, but it looked like it's a bit more smaller. So we had these two things. I think this is creme brulee. It's caramelized cream. It's basically a cream, and the dude arrives with the Flammenwerfer, and he just Flammenwerfers this, or Weffers Flammen all over this. He actually lit the paper below it on fire. And then he was like, whoops, let me just take a new one. And then he explained how these things usually happen on summer where you can't see the flame because of the sun. But he just potatoed now. I was like, yeah, it's fine, dude. And she had some sort of an ice cream in some pancake dough or something. It was pretty tasty. And of course, 2 different beers. That was our Wednesday. Just packing, traveling, and getting here. Then when we arrived on Thursday, we wanted to go visit the zoo. Of course, we had a breakfast in the morning, which I'm sure I have a picture here somewhere. Here it is. We exited the hotel. We went to the nearest thing that looked like it could have something that resembles to a breakfast. And I had this awesome dough, panini, whatever you want to call it, with eggs. I'm a huge fan of eggs, by the way. Salad and Margot, I don't know how you call it. It's a different version of butter. And she had some sort of a salami with cucumbers or whatever. Cucumbers. I always call it cucumbers. I don't know why. Also salad, and I'm guessing also Margot. Coffee and cola for her, and this cute kid orange juice for me was very, very tasty. And the funny thing about this place is they legit open at like, I don't know, 7, 8, and they're open for a couple of hours. So you can come in, have a breakfast, and leave. That's legit. I mean, this is inside. They have tables and stuff. It's like a cafe where you don't actually go to drink cafe and talk or have lunch or whatever. This is the place where you legit do what we did. We don't have these here in Croatia, which is kind of sad. We have billion cafes, but you don't have dedicated places. Because I think they would just, they would bankrupt, honestly, if you would make places where you're open couple of hours a day just to have a breakfast. But anyway, I'm gonna show you a couple of pictures of the theme park. Sorry, not the theme park, the zoo, because we decided that Thursday is the day where we go to the zoo, which is probably gonna take a lot of our time, and it took far more than we expected it. And then after that, we're gonna go visit the Reichstag and the Brandenburg Gate, and then we'll see. Needless to say, we arrived at zoo at like 10, 11, and we left around 5, 6 p.m. Just completely dead, went to have a dinner, and just crashed in the hotel. I just put out like 15, 20 pictures that I can show you from the zoo. It's a pretty weird looking pigeon with big ass feathers on. The zoo, like, the couple of things that I didn't like about it is, whenever it comes to birds and stuff, they had these really small fences. So you can't really take a proper picture of animals. This is of course made so that you can see them and they don't have a different environment that you do. But they can't escape, of course. Like, I don't know, on some places it would have been better if they had glass, or if the glass was actually not blurry in a lot of places. Like, those are my 2 main critiques in a negative way. And it was kind of cold when we arrived at Berlin. It was like -1, and 2 days before that it was like 15-20 degrees, and on the day we had to leave it climbed back to 15-20 degrees. Like, exactly when we arrived in Berlin, everything was super cloudy. There was even rain and snow at some points. So it was a damn shame that we couldn't enjoy this in the sunny and stuff. And you could see that animals were not interested that much in having fun or whatever, even though it's kind of sad when you see animals in the zoo. They're locked there for their lives and stuff, but it is what it is. And it was just it was lacking energy. The zoo is good and it has a whole bunch of places, but you can see the weather. It was kind of shit. And this is still okay. You can actually see some blue sky here. Afterwards, you don't see anything. So some giraffes, and I forgot what those are in English. It's pretty big. It's really big. A lot of green inside, which is awesome. I took a picture of this because it was cute how it looked like, and you have even names and stuff. The elephants. That was a pretty... I mean, I don't know how do I address this. Is it a funny story or is it a sad story? Because for me personally, it was kind of sad to watch elephants, which are big animals, and you know, they definitely deserve better place than this. Of course, it's a bit bigger than you can see it here, but still they have their storages or whatever where they keep them, their living quarters. And the good thing about the Berlin Zoo is every animal had a solid amount of space outside and a decent amount of space inside. You never knew which animal was going to be outside or inside. But not a single animal had a lot of space. I mean, it's in the city, of course. It has to be kind of limited, right? But yeah. It was a pretty sad story because we arrived exactly in the zoo when these things were supposed to be talked about. There was a couple of dudes standing through a couple of elephants and they were talking about them in German. I didn't understand much, but then at one point they started talking about various different schnitzels, which I presume you can have from elephant meat. And then you're standing there thinking like, this is really sad. This is really, really sad. And some birdie birds. And I'm sure you know what these are. The monkeys. There's a whole bunch of... There's a like really, really a lot of monkeys. And then these awesome, terrifying looking birds. Which are pretty big, I gotta say. I do realize, by the way... that the screen is not exactly centered for you. Here I can try to do it like this, but I usually use this screen for other purposes. But this way we're just gonna have to use it like this because this is the easiest way to actually show you the pictures and not just add them all through OBS. This is the kids' playground within the zoo, and it's pretty freaking big. Like, we heard a lot of screaming and noises and stuff, and we were like, what exhibition are they showing? We came from this direction, and there's also a lot of bushes and trees, and we were like, what exhibition are they exactly showing that everybody's so excited about? And then we arrived here, and we realized it's just a huge kids' playground with sort of a restaurant and stuff, and we're like, okay. So that's where you can kind of chill a bit. Live feeding of wolves. These are chickens, little chickens, of course, already dead and stuff. Pretty beautiful animals. You can see a couple of more back there. And I didn't really want to show you majority of the pictures because in majority of the pictures, there's other people. And I tried to take as least amount of photos where there's other people involved. Because, you know, reasons. Then this cute little bird, and this terrifying looking bird, which will now turn its head and be like, hello? What are you looking at? They have a huge aquarium, that is, well, it's... Aquarium is on 2 floors, and then you have 1 or 2 more floors for bugs and insects and a whole bunch of these other things. It's really, it's good. It's pretty good. Like, I definitely advise if you haven't seen the aquarium to go pay a visit to it. I'm pretty sure you can actually, they have a couple of different entrances to the zoo, and you can take you can buy a ticket to get to see the zoo or zoo and aquarium. I'm pretty sure you can buy the ticket only for aquarium because I've seen an entrance to the zoo through aquarium. Definitely worth it. A whole bunch of different things. But what Mrs. Citadel was mostly fascinated by, because she doesn't come from the part of the country which actually has sea access, even though I do, and we still don't have jellyfish, or we call them medusas here, for the most part. She was completely mesmerized by various different types of jellyfish, and they truly are mesmerizing. They're really something different. And this is just one aquarium. There's a whole bunch of these big things, and then these long things, which I'm pretty sure they're pretty dangerous, but I'm not sure. And then various different types of pictures. Here you can see this is Mrs. Citadel, and she spent so much time in front of these sort of aquariums, tankers, filled with medusas, and she was just, You can see there, these are super small ones, and they're just moving like Tetris. They're all over the place. And then you have those big ones, and there's like a couple of these aquariums here, and then a couple behind. Pretty beautiful stuff. One of the most fun things, which I was hoping to show you a couple of videos about, but I'm not sure where they are right now, and I already started recording everything, and I'm planning on doing it in one go. And then it was the, what do you call it, seals, I think. We have a couple of different names. It was pretty funny. There were a couple of kids here, and of course, like, again, I tried to take pictures where the kids are not there, but this one in particular was upside down, because the kid was standing right here, and he spent a quite significant amount of time actually standing like this, and he was kind of trying to entertain us. They're really cute animals. If these are not seals and they have a different name, I apologize. I kind of forgot in English. Because I know there's a couple of different animals that look similar to this. They were legit, they are entertainers. They were, I think, the only animals in the entire zoo who had energy. And it was pretty fun and entertaining to watch them. But I think it was this guy who had sort of a shell, a seashell, on the bottom somewhere, and he was spending a quite significant portion of his time trying to pick this shell up, and then he would propel himself full speed, jump out of the water, and try to toss it across this glass to kids that were standing here. And he almost succeeded. Like, this glass is maybe this portion is, well, under the surface, and then you see this portion, and then maybe this much more up, and he came pretty close. This is taken from above. Like, there's stairs here and here that you actually climb on top of the surface, and they were just playing, and it was Battle of the Hill. Like, they were all fighting for this island. It was pretty funny. I mean, there was no real battling. It was just, you know, trying to scream at each other, and it was pretty funny. And then I had my probably most delicious and best meal I had in the entire stay of Berlin, which was very close to currywurst. You can see Mrs. Citadel then decided that she will have a currywurst with salad and some potatoes. I decided I'm going to give it a day or two until I do the currywurst or bratwurst again. I'm gonna go for this. This is, I think they call it Spätzle, which is some sort of a pasta, I believe, with mushroom cream sauce, whatever you want to call it, some salad, and schnitzels. Oh my god, this was so awesome. I can't describe you how awesome this combo was, and how each and every part of this was super tasty. It was really awesome. Like, Germans, you really know how to make your wursts and schnitzels and all that stuff. It was absolutely amazing. And trust me when I tell you, I come from Croatia, where people make extremely good food. I think that's it for Thursday, because we went to have dinner, and then when dinner was done, we just, I think, went back to hotel, crashed, and then Friday, let's find a folder for Friday. Yes, Friday we finally decided that, okay, we didn't get to do We didn't get to do the whole Brandenburg Gate and Reichstag on Thursday, even though we would have preferred to kind of do that as well. We decided, all right, we got Friday. This is the last day we're probably going to have for sightseeing. Let's go see as much as we can. And then we went to see the Brandenburg Gate, which you can see, of course, right there. I just wish that we had one ray of sun throughout staying in Berlin, because I'm sure my and Mrs. Citadel's impressions would be a lot better from the entire city. Like, there's nothing wrong with Berlin. It's definitely a step up from where I live, because everything is more efficient. You know, German efficiency. They're more efficient. It's a huge city. We spent so much freaking money on Uber and taxis and public transportation. I definitely advise you, if you have the will to try and learn how to buy these tickets and try to figure out how public transportation works, I definitely advise you to do it. I did not have the patience for the first couple of days. I just wanted to be from one place to the other as soon as possible, so we were using Uber. And it's a big city, so even though Uber is cheap, you end up paying like 7 to 10 euros minimum per ride. And you have to do a couple of these rides per day. Not to mention, if you're going from airport to the city, it was like 45 euros. Or if you're going from one part of the city to the other, it can be like 25, 30 euros. It's not cheap. And public transportation, you buy a ticket for €1.70. And it lasts, I think, 2 hours. You have different zones, but they're really, really well connected, really fast. You kind of arrive faster than you would with a taxi, because you don't have traffic jams and stuff, and they're really, really precise. If it says that tram will be there in 2 minutes, it's going to be there in 2 minutes. Something that us in the Balkans know nothing about. When it says that the bus is going to be 4:45, that means 5 to 10 minutes up or down minimum. It's just the way the people are here. What can I say? So, when it comes to public transportation, I would definitely advise you to give it a go. It's not that expensive, and it's pretty efficient. And they're really well connected. But I just wish we had a bit more sun, so we could experience the city better. There's nothing wrong with the city. It was just because of these damn clouds and cold and a bit of wind and a bit of rain and snow that you were just trying to get off the streets, and you couldn't really enjoy the city as it is. The first sun ray when we saw was on Monday when we left. Monday morning we were going to the airport, and we were seeing people exiting hotels, looking to the sky and yelling, "Oh, sun!" And it was just wow. It was a bad luck. I personally am not super fascinated with Berlin. I think it's a good city, but I could relate to it because the way that it's built and stuff, even though a lot bigger, it's not that far from what we have here. It's definitely a step up when it comes to how clean it is and how organized it is, because there's a lot of unorganized building here. So I'm okay. Mrs. Citadel was expecting a bit more, but I'm trying to tell you, like, we had relatively big expectations and we had a pretty shitty weather and we were super tired in the same time. So, but yeah, I'm fine with this. Let's continue. Brandenburg Gate, and then, of course, before, this is a picture that we took, and then we decided, fuck this, we're super hungry, we actually have to go take something to eat. So we found a place that was pretty close. She has a huge potato, which is in this part of the swan, which is pretty funny, this decoration. And another half of the potato, which is in that part, with some sort of a mushroom cream and some cherry potatoes and salad. And I think there was some chicken inside, I'm not sure. I decided to take some sort of a Kaiser's plate, because this was the first place in Berlin we actually sit down and we didn't know what to order because they had too many things that looked good on the menu. each and every place we set before and after, we would usually find just one thing that we were pretty sure was going to be good and we're going to like it, and it was super tasty. This was the first place where we actually sit and couldn't make up our minds, and we were kind of let down. It was a bit disappointing. A couple of different steaks, bacon, potatoes. It's also some sort of a mushroom sauce, cream, meatball, some sort of a wiener or sausage, I don't know, with salad. Not a single one of these things was really, really tasty. I'm not trying to say that this is bad food, but after having two absolutely incredibly amazing meals 2 days in a row in 2 different places, we were kind of expecting the same thing, and we arrived at a place that just didn't provide that amazing food. Like, if you're hungry and you want to have an okay food, this was an okay place. I'm not going to be naming anything. I don't even remember places, but this was the first kind of a letdown. We ate a whole bunch of this because we were hungry, and the food, like I said, was okay. It's just not a single one of these things was wow. The mushroom cream was good and the meatball was good. The rest was kind of okay. And then we decided to continue. And there was a guy here who was making a billion amount of these balloons in front of the Brandenburg Gate. And I exactly was about to take a picture of the Brandenburg Gate when I got a bit closer when he did this. And I was like, wow, this actually looks pretty amazing. So, a few more pictures of it. It's a pretty monumental building, and then we walked through it and went to this park, which you have to take if you want to go to the Reichstag or the Reichstag, so you can see it from behind. I don't think I've actually put any pictures. Yeah, I think it's this one. This is within some sort of a memorial for all the Jews that were killed, I think. The problem in Germany is there's a lot of things in German and not a lot of things in English, so you kind of have to guess, or at least we were blind and didn't see everything. It's some sort of a round circle with water above it. It's looking okay. And then you have these kind of glass fence which has written text over it, and then the Reichstag. 2 problems with a Reichstag. One, you can't actually take a proper picture of the building without having cars and fences and people and other objects involved. And I'll explain why. And the second problem is you actually can't go inside unless you booked 4 to 5 weeks in advance, which of course I realized when I arrived in front of it. It's a bit of a bummer. Because of this. This is in front of the Reichstag, and you actually have to go through here to enter the building. So if you want to take a picture from afar, it's kind of impossible because there's fences everywhere and guards and stuff, and you have to go through these stupid, weird-looking bunkers or whatever they are, freighters, to just actually get to where you want to go. It's a awesome looking building, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to go inside, but I had no idea that you have to book so much in advance. They pointed us to across the street to some sort of a container where they were selling some tickets for maybe one part of this, maybe like this or this part, I'm not sure. But there was 100 people in front and we were like, yeah, no way. This is already Friday evening. Well, afternoon. We were already pretty tired and exhausted. We were definitely not going to stand in line for hours just to maybe get to see something. But across the way, there were a whole bunch of these big white and red buses and people in white and red shirts, or jackets, whatever you want to call them. And we were instructed that they are the city tour for the 20-something very important points throughout Berlin, like historical things that you could see. The ticket was, I think, 18 euros per person, and it lasts, I think, 24 hours. And the magical thing about this, each bus had a tour guide, which was speaking over the phone, or speakerphone. And you had a driver and a person that would, you know, do whatever needs, if you need some help and stuff. It was a bus on the floor, and you could get out anywhere you want. They had like 25, 27 stops throughout the city where they would unload passengers and load new passengers. And if you had a ticket, you could unload, you could just get out of the bus at any place you want, go visit it, not just from the bus, but like go explore it, and then come back to the bus station. And these buses were driving every 10 minutes. It's really well connected. And the whole ride takes about, I think, 1.5, 2 hours. I think they said 2.5 hours, but I think we did it much faster. So it's a pretty good thing if you want to book one day just for this. Like, get one of these buses, get in, and just get out at these stations. And whenever you're done with sightseeing on that particular place, come back to the station, and within 5 to 10 minutes, another bus will come and pick you up and you can continue. But you will need a whole day for this. We had just a couple of hours in the afternoon. We didn't feel like exiting everywhere. You can see here, a lot of pictures were actually taken from the bus because it started snowing, raining and snowing. And we decided, okay, what are we going to do now? We've seen the Brandenburg Gate, we've seen the Reichstag. There's a lot more things to see, but it's kind of raining and snowing and our feet are already killing us. And it's like, then we saw the buses and we're like, fuck it, let's get inside and let them just drive us around while we rest and take photos. So a lot of photos were actually taken from within. This is the checkpoint Charlie, which was one of the most notorious or most famous checkpoints in the Berlin, between, as far as I know, between the western and eastern part, or part that was controlled by, I think, USA, and the part that was controlled by USSR. They actually still have the Soviet Union's flag here, which is also something that I mentioned in the stream that I find kind of nice, because not that I'm a communist or anything like that, but I kind of find it nice that people are not getting offended and nobody's making any hustle or problems when you see historical, what I call it, relics, flags, insignias and stuff like that to represent historical parts or events and stuff. People here are just trying to put you in a box. You say one word, they immediately say, oh, you're that. No, I'm not that. I'm just okay with that. This is the same place. I think it's on the same crossroads. It's just maybe on the right side of the bus, because I'm pretty sure this was taken from the left side of the bus, which is where the Mrs. Citadel was sitting, and I was actually sitting on the right side. So she covered a lot on the left side, and I covered a lot on the right side. They actually have this, well, it's US Army checkpoint. It's all there is. It's pretty funny. And then you can see some pictures and stuff. And I'm honestly not sure, but I think these are not real people. I think these are just dolls, really well masquerade, just kind of represent of how it looked like. And then we just continued to move along and have a few more pictures. And then we saw the radio tower, and I was like, I asked the tour guide, can you actually go up the radio tower? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And it's totally worth it. So this is the only stop where we actually exit. You can actually see Mrs. Citadel here. Where we stopped, exit, took a whole bunch of pictures around this fountain, and then went to book, because you actually have to book in advance this as well, at least 1 or 2 hours. So we bought the ticket to go up, take a quick tour, and by the time we had to wait for this, we stopped at a local restaurant or someplace just to have cake and drinks and just wait. We weren't hungry at that particular point of time. We just wanted to have a place to crash and not freeze outside. I'm not sure if I actually have... Yeah, I have, I think, 1 or 2 pictures from up here. No, this is actually the last one. This is the only picture where I didn't catch other people or frames or anything like that. And why I'm showing you this picture in particular is you can see Reichstag there, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see Brandenburg Gates there. And you can see how small they are. This is 210 meters in the air, I think. And I remember asking a woman that works there, you have to go through all these security scans and checks and stuff so you wouldn't, I guess, commit a crime. There's only 2 elevators up and down, and they're constantly working on bringing people up and down. I don't think there's stairs, or at least not for public use. And I asked a person that was working in the elevator, like, how many floors are we going up now? And then she said 55 or 56. And I'm like, damn. And then I realized that there's actually a digital representation of the height you are while you're moving with the elevator and the floor. And when we arrived at the top, it was, I think, 21 floors. So I'm kind of confused. Like, what did she tell me? Who's wrong and why? It's a pretty good site, by the way. Berlin is, I think, all the way to here. And I actually made a video where I walked 360, just showing you through the window Berlin, and it's huge. It's absolutely huge city. And the funny part is, you don't realize how big it is. We were saying, oh, we were done already like 2/3 with the ride. We could actually not even get on the buses. We might as well just take a walk to go back to the Reichstag and the Brandenburg Gate, which is where we started the whole tour and then went around the city until we arrived here. And now we could just walk back there and then go back to hotel. We don't have to go back. And then we were like, yeah, sure. It looks pretty close, like 10-15 minutes walk. We opened Google Maps and it turned out it's like almost a 40-minute walk from here where we are to there. So it's not that close, actually. But it was a pretty damn good view. So this was Friday. And then finally on Saturday, we arrived at TwitchCon. Also on Friday, we went to pick up the tickets, swag and all that stuff. So on Saturday, we wouldn't have to wait in lines. We arrived at TwitchCon, which was in City Cube. And throughout talking with other CCs and stuff, turns out that this is one of the smallest TwitchCons ever. And there was not that many things to actually do and see. But it was definitely sold out. And if it was a test for future, it was most likely a success. So we can probably see a bit... We're probably going to be able to see a bit more and bigger in the future if they continue to do it in Europe. Because as far as I know, TwitchCons were always in United States. World of Warships did not have their own booth. World of Tanks did. And streamers like Circumflexes, Fosh was there as well. I'm not sure, did he actually stream? I'm not sure about Quickie Baby, I didn't see him. And a whole bunch of other people that I don't know. You had a couple of girls here you could take pictures with. You could take a shell and stuff like that. This is, well, I thought this was a Leopard. But then I got instructed that it's not, like Leo 1. I don't know, it's been a while since I played World of Tanks. It looks like a Leo 1 to me. And it was okay. You had sort of a -1 floor where there was a whole bunch of things you could buy. Then you had the ground floor where they were talking to streamers and stuff. And then on one of the floors you had these booths for like Crosshair and Logitech, various different games and streamers where this whole thing was. And some cafes and stuff. And then you had, I think, one more floor, which was only for partners, which we discovered only super late. Where you could go pick up your purple Twitch looking partner backpack. And when we arrived there, it was pretty funny because, yeah, you can see this from floors up. This is actually Mrs. Citadel with, I think, Entom, Sniper, which is a friend of Clyde's, and Boomfunk MC. All pretty awesome dudes. Because I think below us here, or maybe even on this, yeah, it's actually on this side, there's a dude standing there and he's not letting anyone go up the stairs who does not have one of these badges that's purple. Because if everybody was having badges, and if it was the purple badge, that means you're a partner. Of course, you had your nickname written and you had TwitchCon 2019 partner, Flambus, I don't know, was there anything else? But the whole badge from one side was purple, from the other side was like white. You could just stick and write on it. So you had a purple for partners, you had a blue for affiliates, which I think you can see here on this guy. And you had, not sure if anyone is wearing one right now here that you can see. You had the yellow ones. Oh, you can see it here, which represent just the community. You know, if any one of you showed up, you would be wearing the yellow one. That's the first funny story. This is the picture that I tweeted. You can see mine right here. Yes, this is me. This is Mr. Conway. This is Chrysanthos. This is Clyde the monkey. And this is Lord of Joy. So what's funny about this picture is we went upstairs. We found these guys. We took our bags. You can see that we're wearing these Twitch partner thingies. And then on the way back, I wanted to take a selfie with them. Because I took a selfie with myself, Conway, Chrysanthos, and Isolate in Prague. It was just one picture. It was actually still on stream. And because it was done pretty fast, it was a bit blurry. So the only picture I had with these guys that was like a proper picture was blurry. So I told them, okay, we are making a selfie now. I want a picture with you dudes that's not going to be bloody blurry. So we tried to squeeze in all in here, but it was impossible. We couldn't. It was, look at this, 5 guys. How long would my hand actually have to be long to catch everybody here? I would need to have one of those sticks, and I don't. So Conway, he was sick. I think he said he was having like 40 degree, and I'm pretty sure you can see it on his face. It's amazing that he even put up with this. If you take a look at any one of our faces, you can see a lot more energy than you can see it on Conway's face, because he had like 40 degree fever. He was medicated, and it was like, yeah, I feel for the guy. 2 funny things about it. Before I continue this story, you can see that I have my partner badge. Chrysanthos has his partner badge because he was a streamer before we started working for World of Warships, and he did become a partner. You can see Clyde's here, and you can see Lord of Joy, which I was like, how does he have a purple one? He was representing official World of Warships channel. But Conway hid his under the hoodie, because his was yellow. He's not a Twitch partner. He's not an affiliate. He's just a community. So he tucked his inside, and it was pretty funny, which will connect to a story that I will tell you in a few minutes. That's the first funny thing. There were like 3 super funny things about Conway. This is the first one. The second one, which was kind of embarrassing and kind of awkward, but cute and funny in the same time. To continue the story was, we wanted to take a picture, and then Conway, in all his political correctness and wisdomness and gentlemen's, there was a group of people standing next to us. He tapped one of the dudes on the shoulder and realized you can't be up here unless you're a partner or a crew of Twitch. He tapped one of the dudes on the shoulder and started saying, "Excuse me, sir," or whatever exactly he said. "Would you please be so kind and take a minute of your time to take a picture of us, please, with this phone. While I was saying this, the dude turned around, he saw Conway, he saw the rest of us, and you could see his face. He had like a sour smile. He was laughing and smiling, but in the same time he was a bit shocked, not to say disappointed. Now you have to understand that each one of these tags looks different on the other side. This is how they look from the front. When you turn them around, it just says TwitchCon 2019 here, and the rest of the tag is just white. There's just nothing there if you want to put some stickers on it or write anything on it or whatever. So this dude's tag was turned around, and nobody was paying attention to his tag. We were just, you know, interested in a picture. So I was looking at the dude's face and thinking, he looks a bit shocked about our request. Like, why? And the dude starts speaking in German. And Chrysanthos and Conway then engage him in German. And like, oh, you're German. And and the dude's like, yeah, I am German. And at this point of time, we realized that something awkward is happening. We were supposed to know who this person is, especially Conway and Chrysanthos. And then Conway slowly approached his tag and started flipping it on the other side, and it said Kolia Solo, which is one of the biggest German streamers. And then to our huge shock and embarrassment even further, Private Penguin was standing right next to him, and Sir Fosh from World of Tanks was standing next to him. We were completely oblivious of each other. And we were so oblivious that we even tapped one of them on the shoulder without realizing who he is and who the other dudes are. It was pretty funny. Then we just started laughing. He did eventually, of course, take a picture of us. Then we took some pictures together. This is him, by the way. This is Kolia Solo. Awesome guy. Absolutely awesome guy. He's not really tall, but he's really muscular. And he likes to pick people up. That's all I'm going to tell you. He's pretty damn strong. So, he took this picture of us, and we just continued to laugh and introduce and, you know, shake hands and stuff like that. Then we realized, Jesus Christ, Penguin is here as well, which is, of course, another German streamer, and Sir Fosh and stuff like that. Funny story coming up with Sir Fosh as well. So, that evening, after we had some food and went back to hotel, took a shower, changed some clothes, 8 p.m. was supposed to be when we are going to gather up and have drinks. Wargaming basically rented the entire cafe for that night. That was the ship bars thing, where the fans and CCs and Wargaming would be in the same place in the same time if you know, reserved your place there, and it would be like meet and greet and stuff. So somebody, considering Mr. Conway did not have his purple tag, decided to make his purple tag. Hello, my Twitch ID is Mr. Conway. I'm sorry, Mr. Conway. He was sick. He was weak, he couldn't defend himself, and he's a massive troll. So we were just taking advantage and just trolling him as much as we could. But I love him. He's an awesome guy. And in the meantime, he was also sick. Is there any more pic? Yeah, you can see his face here when 4 or 5 of us that entered a bit late started trolling him in the same time. And the entrance is here, and the whole bar is behind us. And he's standing next to an entrance, next to some tables, and he's handing you shirts, Scharnhorst blueprints, which I forgot, but I already have mine, and some pins and stuff at the entrance. And then we entered, we see that he's not wearing his tag anymore. We saw this, and we just started trolling him and have fun. And you can see his picture, he was like, oh, fuck you guys. And that's it for Saturday. I wasn't really taking pictures inside the bar. It was just a bar with some sort of a disco and stuff. we were talking. I met Trenlos. I met a lot of dudes. I actually don't have any pictures of Trenlos with me here. Huh. That's fine. Trenlos is also an awesome guy, by the way. All the CCs that I met were bloody awesome. This was Saturday evening, and most of us really got pretty drunk that evening. And there is a lot of stories circling around. I'm not going to share any embarrassing stories from any of the other CCs because there were a couple. There were a couple because that's on them if they want to share or not. But we had a blast. We had an amazing time. Needless to say, next morning we were all kind of sick and super tired and exhausted. We got up at around, I don't know, what was it, like 12? We missed breakfast, then we had to kind of go to a separate place to have a breakfast at all. And we didn't really have much of a plan, besides the fact I met with Peppa, Runner, Hentai, and Rukenshi, I believe, for breakfast, which was already like 1 p.m. And Lamu arrived later. At this place, we had some bacon and eggs and coffee and water and whatever. And then they went to the radio tower, which we already did. And then me and Mrs. Citadel decided to accompany Clyde again. Clyde, Boomfunk, and Tom and Sniper, which were in Deutsche Technik Museum, which was, of course, Sunday. And the museum looks like this. It's a huge place. And what you're seeing right now is not actually... It's just one part of the museum. This is like the new building. This is only boats and planes. And then you can see buildings in the background, which are compartments for other stuff, which we didn't even get to see because we were just dead tired. So, some pictures of that museum. I actually took a whole bunch of pictures of this beautiful thing, which is a Scharnhorst, which in World of Warships is a tier 7 German battleship, premium. There was a whole bunch of kids with their families just running around, so most of the pictures were including some other people. And then when I moved, I realized they moved as well, so I just ran back, took 2 more pictures just so you can actually see how it looks like. It's a beautiful ship. The only thing that I kind of have a bad critique for this museum is they have whole bunch of models everywhere, and most of these models have a pretty shitty quality with very few details. I don't know why they did it the way they did it. Looking them from afar, they look okay, but once you get really close, you start to realize that how simplistic they are. And since this is a museum, you kind of expect them to be detailed about it. But the museum is pretty good. This is some super small submarine that was exposed. There, you can see how big a person is, and you can see how big a modern torpedo is next to this submarine. So fun fact. This is some sort of a sunken ship that was on the ground floor, and its mast went all 5 floors. Like here, this is a huge aircraft carrier. I mean, look at the way this is made. There's no details. There's nothing. The planes look okay. That's the conning tower. Like, they had a whole bunch of these models like this, which were, for some reason, just super simplistically made. You can see some Hornets and Tomcats and Eagles and stuff like that. And then some, of course, old school ships with just looks pretty awesome. I think it says Prussen. This is a pretty funny thing. This is I believe, how German pilot was dressed. I think he's German. And it's just a model. But fun fact, this woman was standing right here talking to her cell phone. And when I arrived to take a picture of him, I realized that he legit looks like he's peeking and tried to, take a look at her. So that was pretty funny. They have a whole bunch of engines from airplanes. This is the engine from the Messerschmitt 262, the Schwalbe, which was the so-called first jet engined fighter plane, even though he was like a heavy attack fighter. This is from one of the BF-109s, I believe. And then a whole bunch of these insignias and stuff. And I was pretty shocked to see this. This is a Junkers 87, or so-called the infamous Stuka dive bomber. She is completely wrecked. This is a legit wreck of a plane that got shot to shit and burned out. And you can see how it looks like when it's completely destroyed. And you can see a whole bunch of holes everywhere. I don't know her story because it was only, unfortunately, written in German. I did take a picture of it, so if any of you want to pause the video and translate it for the rest, that would be nice. She's missing a cockpit, by the way. I'm guessing she landed on the cockpit and that just got completely fucked. And of course, some other planes. And a story about this, which I also tweeted. This is the Junkers 52, I believe. Which was the German transport plane they used to transport goods, including paratroopers. There's a funny thing about it. Hans! I has finds my long-lost transportation. Pretty awesome stuff. Then I think this is the Flak 88 or Flak 1936, which is an 88mm German cannon during World War II, which is one of the most deadliest weapons they had. And he's mounted like 6-7 feet high in the air, so you can't really take a proper picture of it. I'm legit standing below it right now. And then some other jet planes. This is pretty funny for me because I know this is, I think, a 20mm anti-air. I think you can use it as an anti-infantry as well. I think they have one of these in Saving Private Ryan End Battle, where US forces disable a Tiger. They throw a whole bunch of grenades and shoot inside, which is unrealistic, but whatever. And then the Tiger crew tries to get out, and then they get shot. And in the meantime, German forces bring this thing and open up on the US forces, which are on the Tiger. And then you just see limbs and heads flying everywhere, because this was a pretty fucking deadly thing. But it was cramped up all the way in the back, because, who gives a shit about a 20mm? I find this weapon pretty cute looking and very deadly. Yes, this is me doing faces. This is the Junkers 87, Das Blitzkrieg-Symbol story. I'm pretty sure this is the story where they tell you what happened to it. I'm not sure. So if any one of you wants to actually translate this, you know, by all means. And that's the last picture of that. We actually, after this, decided, screw this. We are just going to go take something to eat, meet again with Clyde and the others, and go home. We're gonna have to kind of pack and relax. And at 8 p.m. this evening on Sunday, that was a dinner with all the CCs and Wargaming together in some Philippine restaurant that Conway booked. Of course, he always goes for some crazy Asian food. But the food was awesome. They ordered a whole bunch of things, so we had a taste, a bit of everything, and most of the stuff there was really, really tasty. All the CCs that I met were absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure that most of you are like, did you talk to Flamu? I think me and Flamu exchanged like 10-20 words together. Like, we're in the same clan, we've been in the same clan for years and years now. We share many different channels where we can talk together if you want to. And, you know, you could say that we kind of know each other. but I was interested in hanging around with other people. Boom Funk MC, awesome dude. Clyde, his friend Sniper, and Tom. Met a whole bunch of dudes that were here in Germany, like Private Penguin, Kolya Solo. A dude from Hamburg. I'm sorry. That's how we remember you. Dude from Hamburg that likes to talk about tea. Awesome stuff. His friend, of course, which is embarrassing when you say his friend, but I can't remember his nickname. Strefs. Farah. I don't know. We met a whole bunch of dudes, and it was pretty awesome stuff. I haven't met a single person in the whole CC program which was not really awesome. Thank you for making the CC sort of a summit, meet and greet, whatever, awesome, and thank you all for being so awesome. It was a pleasure and a privilege to meet all of you. Met a couple of fans as well. Thank you for coming. Hope I lived to your expectations. This was the Sunday, and then the day after that, we left to the airfield to go back home. And you know how in planes and buses, they always crank up the heat? Well, not if you ask Mrs. Citadel. I was in a t-shirt and a hoodie, and I could legit I was thinking of just undressing myself all the way to t-shirt, and it was like, because it was getting hot. But then I realized, okay, they're gonna kind of maintain it, they're not gonna keep pumping heat. But it's all in her head, I tell you. She's special, like, because we're so high up and she can see snow and clouds and she knows it's cold, it's automatically cold for her inside the plane as well. It's just, you be the judge. One picture from the plane where we actually saw some snow and stuff, pretty awesome. And then a few pictures as we were descending in Croatia, that you can actually kind of see why Croatia is one of the top few countries in the world which has the most islands, even though it's so small. Croatia is where I live. And yeah, like, I had a blast. And right now I think I already made my decision that I'm going to be attending Gamescom in winter as well. I don't know actually when it is. Is it August, September, October? I don't know. And it was awesome. In Gamescom, it's going to be a lot bigger. It's going to be in a different German city, which I'm also looking forward to meet, because people have told me, you know, Berlin's okay, but it got hit pretty heavily throughout the World War II, especially at the end. So you don't really get to experience it nearly as much as you would some other cities. And Köln, or Cologne, is where Gamescom is going to be. And I was advised many times to actually go and take a look at it, like some other cities like Hamburg and stuff. But I am actually looking forward to going to one of these events again, and it's going to be a lot bigger, and World of Warships is going to have, I think, their own booth, and I might be even streaming there, so it's going to be a lot less painful, yes, for you, without, you know, having me to stream and stuff. But yeah, that's it. This episode, how long is this episode lasting? Oh, Jesus Christ, 1 hour and 10 minutes. So this is now officially the longest episode of Funs with Hans you ever had. And I hope you enjoyed. As you see, 1 hour and 10 minutes. Oh shit, I actually have one more story I forgot to tell. Yeah, that's the last kind of funny, cute, embarrassing story. Sir Fosh is an awesome dude. I met him. He's the dude that had problem with Wargaming World of Tanks before. They had their differences. Everything is cool now. He's a pretty cool guy. He was there as well with Circumflexes. And he doesn't know who I am. I actually met him right here. And I shake his hand. I was like, pleasure to meet you. And then he took a look at my tag, tried to see who I am. And I told him, don't bother. You don't know who I am. But I know who you are. It's a pleasure to meet you. And then he was like, okay, what do you play? I was like, I used to play World of Tanks, but now I play World of Warships. And we actually, on the Sunday, in that evening bar, we spent some time talking. But when we entered inside, it was a pretty funny story because he streams for a lot longer than I am. And his channel, I think, has like 80,000 followers or something. But his average viewer base, which I had to check eventually, but I was pretty sure of it in the moment of this happening, I think he had like a 500-600 average viewers. I'm averaging above 1,000 viewers. So in terms of who has more viewers, you could say that I'm far bigger. In terms of who has a bigger follower base, you could say that he is like 2.5 times bigger than me. But he's in the business a lot longer. And he was kind enough to try and provide like valuable information or good advice to a fellow streamer, which he realized I was. But the circumstances were pretty funny because when we entered the bar, I said, okay, this time I'm actually going to sit to a place where I can just pull off my chair and go take a leak. Because if we're going to be drinking anything, I'm going to be constantly taking a leak. That's just how it is for me. And then he said, oh, if you ever want to be a big or a good or a successful streamer, you have to pay attention that you do least amount of breaks and stuff like that. Which then I look at him and I was like, well, I know, but you know, it's just a leak break. I don't have a problem with that. And then he continued to talk about this because he didn't know me and I knew him. So I had more information about him than he had information about me. And he saw a fellow streamer. He wanted to help, which I'm grateful for. But it was pretty funny because Conway and Chrysanthus were just about to take a seat when they heard this. And then Conway was just swinging his head left and right and kind of started stuttering. Is he telling Flambus how to stream? Is he And then I just waved at Conway and it's like, it's okay, it's fine. I mean, he doesn't know who I am, and it was a pretty funny situation. And Sir Fosh at this point of time realized that something was happening, and he got even more confused. He didn't realize what's wrong, but it was pretty funny. He's a cool guy. I think that's it. I think I've said all the stories that I think I'm allowed to say, and all the dudes that I met were absolutely awesome, and it was a pleasure meeting you all. And I hope you guys watching this had fun, although now it's past noon and I'm still in the middle of recording this. So by the time this is uploaded and processed and this, it's gonna be a rather late episode of Funs with Huns, as usual. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will legit now turn this off, upload it to YouTube, and while it's being uploaded, go drop to the store, take something to eat, and then start the stream. So if you want to join me on the stream, by all means, I'll see you there. If you connect your Twitch account, which is the platform I use for streaming, if you connect your Twitch account to your World of Warships account and watch the stream, you can get Twitch containers, space drops which contain Ironium, and you can even get super containers, which is fucking awesome. People have been getting super containers like crazy, so good luck. And thank you for watching one more time. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I will see you later.